Sweet.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're a little Palisade fruit.
I know they are. You know, I sold 15 of them.
Did you? Thank you.
I did.
Thank you very much.
These initial release items, we did bring 3 for silver.
You tried to cash our check.
Oh, you're good.
That's hilarious. How many people? Yeah, you gotta sell some shit, man.
You get a lot of stuff.
So I started 15 of these.
$20 a piece.
Brian, how are you tonight?
But I was able to kind of.
You doing all right?
I didn't work it anyway.
I just and you'll be pledged allegiance. Thank you.
Hanging out. You on TV.
Don't do anything.
You can sing that song. I'm a girl watcher. You can sing, I'm a clock watcher.
Stop it. I don't like doing that. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to open the August 3rd meeting of the Planning Commission. We're going to start with a flag salute.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Andy.
The eagle needs to be turned around.
Oh, the eagle does face wrong. Okay. I can get to the flag. Would you like to call the roll, please?
Chair Parker,
I'm here.
Vice Chair Harbaugh,
I'm here.
Commissioner Prinster. Here. Commissioner Wheeler. Here. Commissioner Hall.
Here.
Commissioner Curry.
Here.
Commissioner Hamilton.
Here.
Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to adopt the agenda?
So motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Brian, would you like to read the public comment announcement?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. With respect to public comment for the Planning Commission, emails from now on are to be sent to the Community Development Director. My email is bruschie, R-U-S-C-H-E, @townofpalisade.org. Emails for public comment on a specific agenda item received before the packets are published, which is typically the Friday before the Tuesday meeting, will be included with the staff report. We do accept emails afterwards, and we do forward those on to the Planning Commission. It is important that any member of the public who wishes to have a statement or email read into the record to appear in person and make those statements, and then leave a copy of that for our clerks. So appreciate that going forward. Also want to remind everyone that we're still doing farmers markets on Sundays, so if you're looking for something to do here in Palisade, there you go.
Thank you very much, sir.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Public comment this evening, as always, for items not on the public hearing agenda. Please keep comments to 3 minutes or less and state your name and address. Neither the planning commissioners nor staff will respond to comments at this time. The commission may direct staff to look into specific comments to bring back as an agenda item at a future meeting. For public hearing, the following items will be presented before the Planning Commission of the Town of Palisade for their consideration. The Planning Commission...
Excuse me. Is there any comments?
We didn't ask, did we?
No, you didn't.
We didn't ask.
We?
Does anyone in the audience have a public comment they would like to make? And I apologize. I'm just trying to move along because Stan's encouraging me. He wants dinner earlier tonight.
We don't have Zoom land, do we?
We don't have Zoom land. No, we do not.
Okay.
The following items will be presented before the Planning Commission of the Town of Palisade for their...
I'm sorry, excuse me, Ray Parker.
What is it?
I apologize. We do have one public comment. If I could introduce the Chamber of Commerce?
Oh, we'll do that.
Yes, we do have a new executive director of the Chamber of Commerce, Bonnie Davis. And Holly, if you want to come up too, because you're working there also, I believe.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Bonnie Davis. I'm the Executive Director of the Palisade Chamber of Commerce. We are at 128 West 3rd Street in Palisade, Colorado. Thank you for considering this letter of support from the Palisade Chamber of Commerce regarding the relocation of Happy Camper Cannabis Company. Oh, no.
Just talk about yourself.
Oh, okay. Thank you. This is our first time? Yeah.
I do have the letter.
Okay, great. Wonderful. Yeah, we're excited to be here. Yesterday was my first day, and we are full-on planning for Peach Fest. Yes.
Very good. We do welcome you.
Thank you.
What do you think? Should I try again there?
Sorry.
It's okay. You are the boss. Yeah. The following items will be presented before the Planning Commission of the Town of Palisade for their consideration. The Planning Commission will formulate a recommendation which will be forwarded to the Board of Trustees of the Town of Palisade. For those items for which the Planning Commission retains decision-maker status, they will weigh the options and cast a vote. We are not the final decision makers tonight. We will be doing exactly as it states and formulating a recommendation for the board. Brian?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Brian Rushi, Community Development Director. So tonight's request is Happy Camper relocation. It's a conditional use permit associated minor subdivision for a retail marijuana store located at 400 Round Valley Road, parcel number 2937043430001. You might recognize the address. This property has an address of 400 Wine Valley Road, formerly known as 415 Wine Valley Road. The property is known as Lot 1 in the Wine Valley subdivision. This subdivision was approved in March of 2021 by the town. The remaining lot 1, is about 3.6 acres. In addition to the conditional use permit, which we'll get into the details in a sec, there's a concurrent minor subdivision to divide this lot further into a 1.1 acre piece for the proposed retail marijuana store. The property is, let's get a map here. The property is zoned hospitality retail, which does require a conditional use permit for this type of use. Again, as the chair mentioned, the Planning Commission is being asked to review the application and make a recommendation to the Board of Trustees, who has final decision-making authority over conditional use permits. A little bit of background on the property. It was in 2017 when the property was annexed into the town of Palisade. At that time, it was zoned hospitality retail and was part of the Golden Gate convenience store development. In that same month, actually, the Land Development Code was amended to include retail marijuana store as a conditional use within certain zones, including the hospitality retail zone. As part of the conditional use, the site plan is to be submitted showing the location of the store along with associated parking. And I know the applicants have visuals that are probably better than the ones in the staff report. The plans themselves are reviewed administratively, and there have been some comments from various agencies that have been submitted to the applicant. If the conditional use permit is granted, the site must develop consistent with these plans, subject to satisfying any outstanding comments as well as the conditions of approval should there be any. Again, back to the map, we're just east of the convenience store, but one parcel over. You may recall a few months ago the approval of a Subway restaurant on approximately 1 acre just directly east of the convenience store. This would be the next parcel over in terms of how these uses would work with each other. Wine Valley Road itself has been platted as a local street designed to serve development in this area. With respect to the street, it is currently kind of a dead-end gravel area, and so while there is right-of-way dedicated to the town, the applicant will be working with, has already started working with the developer that was in here a few months ago, the Subway, on how, should these projects be approved, the extension of that road be constructed. It's important to note at this point that the road construction, none of that is the responsibility of the town. It will be the responsibility of the developers. There are mechanisms in place, such as subdivision improvements agreements, as well as the certificate of occupancies that come with brand new commercial buildings that will ensure that those improvements are completed to the satisfaction of the town without expending town funds. The Wine Valley Road, of course, starts at Alberta, which used to be known as 37 through 10th Road. It's Alberta Avenue all the way from the interstate exit down to the canal, which is owned by the Department of Transportation. So they have jurisdiction over that particular area as well as the intersection of Wine Valley Road. So while this project is not directly accessing Alberta Avenue, they are required to prepare a traffic study. They are required to do access permitting through the Department of Transportation. Copies of that information are attached with respect to the recommendations within the traffic study as to that currently three-way intersection, as well as we have received concurrent comments from CDOT saying, yes, we are aware and they will go through the access permitting process. The actual business plan itself consists of a building with 3,515 square feet. There's about 1,368 square feet of retail sales area proposed, as well as the 798 square feet of outdoor patio space, and then the rest of the square feet is devoted to restrooms, hallways, offices, that sort of thing. This is a retail-only location. There is no grow proposed, so it's just the retail store that's being considered. The code requires parking, of course, at a ratio of 1 per 250 square feet, which by my calculation comes out to 15 spaces, and the proposed site plan has 38 with some additional parking shown as optional or expansion. Now, a quick little note about the subdivision. As you might recall, when we went through the process for Subway, there was some question about the minor subdivision process. The whole purpose of a minor subdivision is to allow someone to divide off a piece of property in a fairly straightforward manner without, while ensuring that all of the improvements are completed. After reading the code and looking at it further, the authority for a minor subdivision is vested with the Community Development Director, subject to having a meeting with the Planning Commission as well as the Board of Trustees. So the criteria are the exact same as the previous one that we went through. However, it is my recommendation that the subdivision basically be a condition of approval. In other words, if the requested retail location, it's contingent upon the requested retail location, basically. Otherwise, there's really no point in doing subdivision. So looking at the subdivision, this would be a lot that would be very similar in size to the one next door, just another sort of increment, if you will, of this development. Should the subdivision be completed, there's about 2.4 acres that would still remain zoned hospitality retail, and so anything that's in the matrix would be permitted on that lot. And as I mentioned before, the extension of the road is a requirement of any development in this area, whether or not they're coming through this conditional use process. Let's see. With respect to criteria for a retail marijuana store, those standards are located in section 7.03M, which is in the Land Development Code. Talking about the area within our downtown does not permit any retail marijuana. This is obviously not in that location. Talking about the hours of operation, which would be part of the licensing requirements of the proposed use, which is separate from this particular process, which is the land use process. The one thing that does impact land use is the distance from schools. The minimum is 1,000 feet, and the nearest schools are 3,000 feet, if you measure sort of as the crow flies. There are also standards with respect to odor and other things that, in this particular case, it's a brand new build, so that would have to be incorporated into any of the building plans that would come forward should the use be approved. I think I'm going to stop at that point. In your packets, there's the 4 criteria, which are the crux of the conditional use permit, as well as some additional information, but I think I'll end my presentation there for now, Mr. Chair.
Applicant, your turn.
Okay, great. Okay, very good. Okay, is this on? Can you hear me?
We can hear
Okay,
you.
very
Thank
good.
you.
My name's Colleen Scanlon Maynard, and I live at 103 East 4th Street, Palisade, Colorado, 81526. Today, while I'm presenting, I am going to have some support. Ted Chavone, who's the land planner and landscape architect, will be with me presenting. And then we also have Carrie McDowell from McDowell Traffic Engineering, who's joining us by Zoom, and she'll be available to answer any questions as we move through about the traffic. She's on there somewhere. Okay, so let me get started. Okay, first of all, I want to go through what I'm going to be talking about and what Ted's going to be talking about as well. We're going to do an introduction, the site plan, the minor subdivision discussion, Happy Camper conditional use permit, and then in conclusion, I'll wrap it up for you, okay? First of all, we're here today because the Happy Camper, we, the Happy Camper, are requesting to move our marijuana dispensary from its current location at 1043 North River Road to 451 Valley Road. Much thought has gone into the decision to move our business, and we believe the move will benefit not only us, but the town, our neighbors on North River Road, our new neighbors on Wine Valley Road, and the community as a whole. During this presentation, we will discuss all the reasons we believe this to be true, how we meet all the findings necessary to receive approval of our minor subdivision and our CUP. We will review the site plan, architectural drawings, our drill down on the requirements of minor subdivision and the 4 criteria we must meet in order to have our CUP approved. We, the owners of the Happy Camper, love this town. It is its history, its citizens, and the culture. We firmly believe in the best interest of the town, our business, our neighbors on North River Road, the cyclists that travel up and down North River Road to and from the plunge, and the bike riders and tour groups in general enjoying the East Cruiser Loop on the Fruit and Wine Byway to have the Happy Camper relocate to Wine Valley Road. Now let's discuss why we believe this and our plan to do it. When we opened our dispensary on June 15th, 2019, we met every requirement set by the town of Palisade and its code. That included the number of parking spaces required for our location. However, we decided before opening our dispensary to lease parking space from our neighbor for the employee parking. This would ensure that our customers would have plenty of off-road parking. And you can see up there that we went ahead and leased space. It's all marked off for you. That's where our employees park and have since we started, and then we shuttle them back and forth, okay? Oh, I gotta go, there's one more, sorry. Yeah. We assumed we would be a popular location, but we had no idea our business would grow so quickly and continue to grow week over week, month over month. And I want to stress that, guys, because that is a huge part of what made this decision for us, okay? So when we came in, and we wrote the business plan, and we went, and we were drawn and all that, we estimated and projected our growth, how many customers we would have, what our business would be, and we built the building and we created everything to take care of that. Well, then reality came. We opened our store, and on month 1, we were open 2 weeks, and we came under about maybe $100,000 below what we thought we would do in a whole month. By July, we exceeded it, and it continued to grow and exceed our expectations right from the start. Okay, so we started discussing, wow, I mean, we knew we'd be popular, but this is like way over what we ever dreamt. So I just want to drive that point home. Okay, I'm ready. We were servicing hundreds of customers per day, and the neighbors were concerned about the parking. It became evident that the demand was exceeding what this location could handle. Therefore, we leased additional property from another one of our neighbors. And you can see here, we went to Ecogen at the time, and we leased additional property here. And we added 23 customer parking spots to then make sure that we were taking care of the concerns the neighbors had, and we had too. This was, we didn't care for the way that the parking was going, but when you have hundreds of customers coming and you only have so many parking spots, they're going to keep coming whether you have the parking spots, right? So we went and we leased the parking spots, and we made it so they're easy to pull in, easy to pull out, and so on. The Happy Camper ownership cares about their neighbors and the community. We take action immediately when we see and hear of any issues. We want to be good neighbors, as well as good business partners, not only to the town, but its citizens. Okay. We understood speeding on North River Road was a concern, so we created signs and placed them on the road in front of the dispensary and on the patio. We also created flyers and placed them in every customer bag to ensure they understood the seriousness of this issue. The flyer is there on the right side. And guys, I made sure that it got in every single bag so that we could explain to our customers, and the bud tenders would also tell them, we are serious about this. This is very important, and you must adhere to the speed limit, period. So we cared about that, and we did something about it the minute we realized there was an issue. Okay. We did these things because we understood the popularity of our business, and the number of our customers we saw every day way exceeded our expectations and that of the town as well. We proactively made decisions to alleviate these issues to the best of our ability, but we now believe that the best thing the Happy Camper can do for the continued success of our business and to continue to be a good neighbor as well as a good business partner to the town and its citizens is to move off North River Road. Now let's discuss our plan. Okay, Ted.
Good evening. Ted Chavone. We're the land planners and landscape architects here. We put this presentation together in the same format that Brian set up his report, talking a little bit about the site plan, then talking about the subdivision, then talking about the CUP.
I can't hear me.
Well, no. You need a taller barrel.
That's right.
So, how about this?
Yeah, I'll be there.
So this is an overview that puts the property in context. It's outlined in red, but what you can see is the Golden Gate. We've put in the, they may not be totally current, but I think pretty current subway plans, and the plans that will go into a little bit greater detail here of Happy Camper, and then showing the remaining 2.4 acres of property. So this is an enlargement of the majority of the 1.18 acre parcel for Happy Camper. It's showing the building in the right off of Wine Valley Road in the lower left, access into the parking. I think we have, you told us we have 38 paved parking spaces. Again, the town requirement at this point is 15, so we're 38 paved, and we show the ability for 23 future parking if that's needed. So we can, I think, greatly increase, be greatly above what the requirement is. Next slide. So I showed you those because the site plan is an integral part of the requirements for both the minor subdivision and the CUP, as is a traffic study. And the traffic study, and as Colleen said, is we have our traffic engineer online, but the traffic study was not just for Happy Camper. It included Subway, it included Golden Gate, it included the Palisade fruit stand. And so it's a comprehensive study of all of those that leads to the recommendations and the permit that CDOT is already aware of. Next. So there's 9 criteria here, and later on I can go through all of these in detail, and I will, but I just want you at first, at this moment, see the 9 criteria. We'll be talking about them in a second. Additional plans, you can click it, Brian. Additional plans that we've submitted is the overall property survey. So this is showing the subway lot, as I'll call it, and the current Lot 1, which is what we're starting with, the 3.6 acres. The next slide shows what we're adding, what we're looking at, taking 1.18 acres out of that 3.6 and leaving 2.41, and probably it'll become Lot 1, Lot 2. Next slide. And then on the site plan, which we previously showed in color, but I'm not sure, maybe it did or didn't have the context of the subway. This is a little bit bigger. We've worked with them so far on some ideas of sharing not only the engineer, but looking at some cross landscaping and things like that. Next slide. And again, these all start to look alike, but they're pointing out different things. This is the parking plan, and it is showing in hard line the 38 paved spaces, and then north of those, the ability to put in 23 future. The next slide is utility plan, and I will say in our report, we said that there was a 4-inch water line which caught the attention of the fire department. That was incorrect on our part. It is an existing 8-inch water line, and as currently planned, Subway would bring water and sewer across the front of their property, and then we would bring water and sewer across the front of our property, as well as the construction of Wine Valley Road, including the pavements. Next slide. And then just by shadowing here, we have an internal pedestrian network that connects to the road, the walkway that will be on Wine Valley Road on both sides of the road. I want to come back to our discussions we had with Jim Cagle on Subway, in that we recognize that what project, if we're approved, what project goes first? And we may be out of the chute before they are. And so how do you build that? How do you leapfrog that piece of Wine Valley Road? And he's totally on board that you don't. And so we're using the same civil engineer, and we see ourselves as putting the road out as a separate package in its entirety. And we will work with Dan and Colleen will work with Jim on figuring out who pays who what. But that entire section of Wine Valley Road from Golden Gate to the east edge of Happy Camper would be a single project bid separately, maybe with one or both of the buildings, but nonetheless, it would be a separate project. Next slide. So I'll try to not burden you too much with this, but I think I kind of have to. I wasn't sure if Brian was going to read some of the context of the criteria that he addressed, which Brian did a really good job of addressing in his report. But the first one here is consistency with adopted plans and policies of the town. These are the 9 points of the minor subdivision. And Brian's comment was the proposed lots are properly zoned hospitality retail, and the lot sizes exceed the minimum required for this zone. We wanted to add on to that the consistency with the adopted plans of the town relies on the applicability statement in section 404. A minor subdivision is any minor subdivision of land into 3 lots or less, and does not require dedicated right-of-way or easements. And the right-of-way for Wine Valley Road is already there. There are some easements on the property. Those are also already dedicated. The proposed minor subdivision is for 1 lot. It does not require dedication of right-of-ways, and it meets this applicability statement. Number 2 is the plat complies with the standards of Article 9, and it does. The plat complies with these requirements. This land can be safely used for building purposes without danger to health or peril from fire, flood, or other menace, and public facilities and improvements exist. Number 3, the plat indicates that all subject lots will have frontage on existing approved streets. Both lots will front on Wine Valley Road. And again, I mentioned that Golden Gate has built it to the west edge of Subway, and we will take it to the east edge of Happy Camper. Number 6, no drainage or utility easements will be required to serve the interior property. That's a true statement. There's no off-site drainage or utility easements will be required. We are suggesting on the plan of having our retention basin straddle the proposed property line with the vacant lot as kind of a chit for that adjacent lot, because when they develop, they're going to have to do the same thing that Golden Gate has done, the same thing that Subway has done, the same thing that we're going to have to do. But rather than have the proliferation of these retention ponds, we thought, let's just make ours so that they can attach to it and grow bigger and drain that property. That's our thinking in showing that on our site plan. What's the next one? Thank you. It's already going back to 4. It's like, my goodness. The proposed subdivision will not adversely affect permissible development on the remainder of the parcel of adjoining property. And Brian stated that it will not adversely affect it. We're going to take it a step further and say we think it actually will help it. That the development that's occurred on this east side of Alberta with the gas station and Subway coming in and the fruit stand and this are really symbiotic uses, and they feed off of each other, and we think that the development of Happy Camper just adds to this, and all of it adds to the viability of that remaining parcel on Lot 1. And then no waivers from Article 9 have been requested, and that's a true statement. Next slide. So we're getting to the conditional use permit here, and so again, if you go to the next slide, there's 4 criteria that are that I will go into more detail about that we need to respond to. But the other thing is, as part of the CUP, again, we had to have a site plan. If you could go to the next slide. This is just a repeat of the earlier slide showing the site plan that we intend, and this is what would be subject to a conditional use permit. And in addition, the architectural renderings of the building. And if you could go to the next one, these these depict the character of the Happy Camper retail store from all sides. This one starts with the west view, with Wine Valley Road would be on the right side of the picture. Next. This would be the view from the entry off of Wine Valley Road, looking at the front door. Next. This would be straight on from the Wine Valley Road. This would be the west side as you're approaching. This would be the north side looking at it from the east, or kind of the back side behind Wine Valley Road towards the parking lot. This would be straight on the north side. And then this would be the north side again from the east area. We like this plan. We like this design. We think we're calling it modern agriculture because we think it has some flavors that can be pulled out of the community, the agricultural community. It's not over the top, and it's got some really nice modern characteristics to it. Next slide. So in order to approve the conditional use permit, the Planning Commission must make certain findings about the request in the form of a recommendation to the Board of Trustees. And these are the 4 criteria. And again, I'm going to read what Brian didn't read, so hang on there. The first one is the application will not materially endanger the public health or safety if located or proposed and developed according to the plans as submitted and approved. The proposed retail marijuana store would be located on Wine Valley Road, which has been designed and partially built to current development standards, inclusive of sidewalks. More than twice the amount of required parking is provided based on the square footage of the store using table 10.1 with sufficient area for additional parking if necessary. The proposed use is limited to a retail marijuana store and does not include any growing of marijuana on site. Its location is adjacent to an already approved drive-through restaurant as well as the other existing auto-oriented uses and accessible via a public street, the extension of which will be paid for by the owner and not the town, which makes the property immediately accessible to I-70, as this type of use attracts visitors from out of town. The site includes parking areas that provide a greater amount than the required number of spaces under the development code, with all the parking happening on site. One of the proposed conditions will include the approval of a landscape design, including ensuring the use of xeric landscaping. CDOT and the applicant's engineer have been coordinating on obtaining an access permit as required due to a projected increase in existing traffic volume indicated by the prepared traffic study. This increase, however, does not warrant physical changes to the intersection according to the traffic study. I wanted to add to that the application will not materially endanger the public health or safety. It will be developed according to the plans that are submitted and approved. Currently, Happy Camper is located on River Road, but anticipates benefits for the businesses and the community in relocating to this developing HR zone that has better exposure and access from Interstate 70. The relocation will, 1, reduce traffic on River Road, as well as destination traffic using Alberta and First Street to currently get to Happy Camper. And 2, it's going to capture more pass-by traffic from I-70 that might, 1, just jump off and jump back on, or might also be captured and brought more into town to aid with the downtown businesses. Number 2, the application meets all required specifications and conforms to the standards and practices of sound land use planning and other applicable regulations. Again, coming from the staff report, the applicant shall comply with all required specifications and standards within the Land Development Code. The proposed use appears substantially compliant with the parking, landscaping, trash containment, lighting, and all other required sections of the Land Development Code based on the submitted site plan. The retail marijuana store shall comply with the above required standards for a retail marijuana establishment found in the Town of Palisade Marijuana Code and all the applicable regulations of the state of Colorado. The design of the proposed store is a low-rise building utilizing earth tone colors and accents to ensure that it blends into the high desert landscape. An outdoor patio area shown on the elevations is provided in front of the store like that found in the existing Happy Camper location. And you've seen the renderings. The application, and then we wanted to add to that, the application meets the procedures of the Land Development Code as well as the standards of the hospitality retail zone, which states it's to provide hospitality and retail along I-70 in the vicinity of exits 42 in a pedestrian-oriented village or mall environment compatible with the character of the adjacent historic neighborhoods and existing uses. Non-residential isn't allowed use, but because it's a marijuana retail store, it requires a conditional use permit. Additionally, the application meets the required minimum of 20,000 square foot lot area. So we felt all that criteria helped boost our meeting of number 2. Number 3, that the applicant will not substantially injure the value of adjoining or abutting property and will not be detrimental to the use or development of adjacent properties or other neighborhood uses. The property is currently a vacant commercial lot and has been vacant for some time. The development of the Golden Gate convenience store has undoubtedly increased the value of the remaining undeveloped commercial property due to the construction of public infrastructure. The establishment of complementary uses along Wine Valley Road corridor will increase the value of the remaining parcels. The nearest residential property to the east will remain separated from the proposed retail marijuana store by approximately 2 acres, 2.5, of developed commercial property. To the south, the residential Willow Tree subdivision is separated by a canal with roads on both sides, a strip of undeveloped commercial property, and Wine Valley Road. As noted earlier, there will not be marijuana grown on site, and the Land Development Code requires property to remain free of odors. And again, we're adding that the value of the adjoining, we're not going to injure the value of adjoining property owners. We believe it's going to benefit. And repeating myself, with the existing uses that are there, anybody coming to one use is more than likely going to want to go to another use. They're going to come to the gas station, let's go get a Subway sandwich. They're going to come to Happy Camper, well, let's go get a Subway sandwich. Subway's going to probably benefit real well here, because no matter where they are going to, they're going to probably want their Subway sandwich. So again, we don't see it injuring the adjoining properties at all. And then finally, the fourth one, that the application will not adversely affect the adopted plans and policies of the town or violate the character of existing standards for development of the adjacent properties. The comprehensive plan 2007 predates the incorporation of the subject property into the town limits. Nevertheless, it notes the desired future condition, policy number 7 for the area near I-70 exit 42, encourage commercial development on vacant or undeveloped land that is consistent with preserving the agricultural character and the attractive entry into Palisade. Prior to the annexation of the property in 2017, Mesa County had designated this area around exit 42 as commercial, but this has historically been underutilized, and there does not appear to be any agricultural production present in the decade between 2007 comprehensive plan and 2017 annexation and development of the Golden Gate convenience store. There are 2 distinct neighborhoods at exit 42. The west side of Alberta being more agricultural look and feel, the gravel roads, the large acreage, the active agricultural uses, and the east side of Alberta being more highly convenience-oriented, with new roads, sidewalk, ample paved parking, new buildings, but with the historic aesthetics. The duly adopted hospitality retail zone was established to provide hospitality and retail development along I-70 in the vicinity of exit 42 in a pedestrian-oriented village or mall environment compatible with the character of the adjacent historic neighborhoods and existing uses. A retail marijuana store may be considered via this conditional use permit process in this zone. All retail marijuana applications must comply with all necessary standards within the adopted marijuana code and development code. And finally, we just wanted to add to this condition that it meets the procedures of the development code as well as it meets the standards of the hospitality retail zone. Palisade has purposely created land use plans that encourage both preservation and development in this HR zone, while the west side of Alberta maintains more historic and agricultural ambiance with its wineries, the vineyards, the architecturally and use-appropriate wine country inn. The east side is the new side. And it has developed with appropriate hospitality retail uses such as Golden Gate, Palisade, the Fruit Shack, and the recent Subway. And now the opportunity for the relocated Happy Camper. And with that, I'll hand it back to Colleen.
Careful.
It's just a sympathy play, guys.
My wife will kill us. Okay, so I think Ted kind of dealt with all the, like that's his wheelhouse. So now we're going to go back to my wheelhouse, and we're going to talk a little bit about, in conclusion, what we've covered and what we've discovered and what we found. Okay, so we believe the Happy Camper is a hospitality retail use, whether we are at our current location or at the new location. People come to the state of Colorado, and they know that marijuana and cannabis is legal here, and so it is part of the hospitality, because they come here expecting that. And we fill that right now with our store. We're going to do that at our new location as well. That said, let us review why we believe we have met all the findings necessary to receive the approval of our minor subdivision and our CUP. The traffic report recognizes that the state highway permit will be required. It also states that the intersection at Alberta Avenue and Wine Valley Road is sufficient to accommodate future traffic volumes. And remember, we have our traffic engineer here to help us answer questions. The proposed minor subdivision is one lot. It does not require dedication of rights of ways or public easements, and therefore meets the applicability statement. The submitted project suggests creating a shared private easement for one site, detention for its use to the aid of the future development of the remaining vacant 2.41 acres abutting on the east. The remaining 2.41 acres will be listed for sale. The Happy Camper will not be occupying this acreage. So it's going to be another retail establishment that can go into that space. We are not going to occupy that space. Happy Camper will be incremental in attracting tourists and visitors to Palisade that will benefit the economic impact of the agritourism and other local businesses. Our plat complies with the standards of Article 9 subdivision regulations and any other applicable requirements of this LDC. Our proposed lot, when developed, will extend Wine Valley Road along its frontage to its eastern boundary. The new and residual partial are less than 3 lots and do not require dedication of rights of way or public easements. No new streets will be required for access. No off-site drainage or utility easements will be required. Okay. There is an existing 8-inch water line. We found that out later. 8-inch water line in the Wine Valley Road. The subway development will extend sewer in Wine Valley Road from Golden Gate to the subway lot's east boundary. This project will extend the sewer from subway east to its east boundary. No proposed subdivision the proposed subdivision will not adversely affect permissible development of the remainder of this parcel. No waivers from Article 9 subdivision regulations have been requested. I believe we have shown that by moving our business to Wine Valley Road, we will not materially endanger the public health or safety. In fact, we will be greatly reducing the traffic currently traveling through our city streets. Our customers today cross over 21 intersections and pass by 93 residential homes to reach our location. By moving to Wine Valley Road, the only customers who will travel this route will be the individuals looking to explore our beautiful town and all it has to offer. The customers just looking for the Happy Camper will exit I-70 onto Alberta, turn left on Wine Valley Road, and leave the same way they came, never crossing any of these intersections and not endangering the public health or safety. And as we also discussed, the traffic study shows this area off and on I-70 is designed to handle the traffic. So I think that's really huge. We have also shown how with the architecture of our new building and serving the numerous tourists who visit Colorado, and in this case Palisade, for a cannabis retail experience, our Happy Camper dispensary provides the hospitality retail experience they are looking for. The Tourism Advisory Board has recognized a need to move the kiosk currently in front of St. Catherine's Cellars to a more accessible location. An opportunity exists to partner with Happy Camper to allow the kiosk to be located at this new location that would be more visible by visitors from the gas station, Subway, and the Peach Shack. Visitors to our new location would be able to browse the Palisade Chamber kiosk located directly outside our retail store. And as they wait, the kiosk, full of brochures and pamphlets, will give them information regarding all the wonderful things in town that the Palisade town has to offer. So for people who come to our location or even go to any of our neighboring locations on that road, this would be a way that they could also access it, see what else is going on in town. And a lot of people, I know this myself, have no idea
all the wonderful things Palisade has to offer. I've brought friends in here myself, just talking about the wine and how great it is, and they're like, wow, we didn't know it. We're going to come back and visit the area. So we want people, when they get off the freeway, to be able to have access to more information about the town, and we're going to work with them to see if we can get the kiosk moved there and be able to do that. When the Happy Camper moves their retail location, they will not injure the value of adjoining or abutting property. I believe we have answered this question throughout the presentation, but it always means so much more when it's expressed by a non-interested party. So I would like to quote a statement made just a few months ago at a town meeting by one of our current Happy Camper neighbors. And I quote, "When it comes to what happens to businesses surrounding marijuana, what I can share with you is that the Palisade Base Camp was voted number 2 in the US Today poll for the best RV resort around. The other pot shop is right next door. It's not a detriment to our businesses. My customers don't care." And this was said by Keith Ellers. I always say his name wrong, forgive me. And finally, let me say that the Happy Camper ownership has always intended to preserve and uphold the character of the community and the existing standards for the development of adjacent properties around us. And as we look to relocate to Wine Valley Road, we believe that while the west side of Alberta maintains the more historic and agricultural ambiance with the wineries, vineyards, and architecturally and uses appropriate wine country inn, the east side is the new side, which is a newly developed with appropriate HR uses such as Golden Gate Gas Station, Palisade Fruit Shack, the recent Subway, and now the opportunity for the Happy Camper. When we originally chose the location on North River Road, we never expected the number of customers we currently have. We truly believed by beautifying the location, we would enhance the area around us, and we believe we did that. However, our business and the number of customers we serve way exceeded our expectations and continues to do so. Now being smack dab in the middle of the East Cruiser Loop of the Fruit and Wine Byway and right near the bottom of the plunge trail probably isn't the best place for us. We have many cyclists now riding up and down North River Road, along with the bike riders and tourists traveling along the byway. So things are a bit different today than they were 2 years ago. By relocating our business to Wine Valley Road, we will be off the byway, tucked behind the Golden Gate Gas Station and Subway, in an area that is designed for high-volume retail establishments, which is what we are, you guys. It is amazing, the business. Like I said before, when we created our business plan, we had a store. We looked at tourism here and we tried to project what we would do. We have way exceeded that. And it just continues to grow month over month. So now we are a huge volume retail location and we belong where it can handle it. Okay. So thank you very much, and we will be able to handle Q&A with our rebuttal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is the time, ladies and gentlemen, for public comment.
Do we want to hear the traffic thing?
Beg your pardon?
Do we want to hear that traffic lady? Or not? No.
That's it for Q&A.
I think that's a Q&A. Sir, please state your name and address.
Dave Edwards, 3781 Granada Drive, Unit 30.
Thank you.
I served on the Board of Trustees as Mayor Pro Tem for 8 years, which included the years the citizens of Palisade approved the sale of marijuana. I'm proud of the 2 marijuana shops that have operated successfully within the town. Both Happy Camper as well as the Weedery have been outstanding citizens of our community. Both establishments have respected our way of life and have contributed actively to bettering our town. The current proposal by Happy Camper to relocate its operations to exit 42 along I-70 is well thought out, a beautiful addition to our town, respectful of all the considerations we have embedded in our town ordinances related to the sale of marijuana, and smart in a business perspective. Others have provided you in writing with ample testament to the character of the owners and operators of Happy Camper. I add my own kudos regarding them. I equally respect the owner-operators of the Weedery. I would like, in my presentation to address the wisdom of approving the Happy Campers conditional use permit request. After the Weedery's proposal to purchase the Grand River Winery was turned down, I proposed to local realtors that any objection that people in our community might have about locating marijuana retail operations to the west of Exit 42 could be met by locating such operations east of Exit 42 along I-70. Palisade itself has to confront the reality that the City of Grand Junction has approved the retail sale of marijuana. Palisade will no longer monopolize retail marijuana sales from DeBeck Canyon west in Mesa County, as well as sales to residents of eastern Utah, where there are no such operations. Palisade derives a significant portion of its revenue from the sales of marijuana. It behooves Palisade to protect this revenue. Happy Camper is proposing to relocate to an ideal location for both its own interests as well as the interests of the town of Palisade. I am respectfully Dave Edwards.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for being so conscious of our time.
Yeah.
I have Stan always timing you. Be aware of that. Okay. Anyone else would like to speak?
Dave Walker, 588 West 1st Street. I, with my wife Michelle, own the Wine Valley Inn. We live on the corner and work on the corner of 1st and Alberta. Thanks to the Planning Commission for your service to the town. I would hope that you will approve this in, here's what. Two easy things. I think this is an easy decision for the Planning Commission. I hope it's an easy decision for, further up the line. Traffic on 1st and Alberta is out of control and unsustainable, and it has been that way for 3 years. You've been asked repeatedly in the last few years to look at developments and to make a decision without having a traffic plan. I know we're working on that, but you don't have a car count. What makes this decision a little easier for you is the applicants provided that for you. When you look at 750 to 800 cars in the 10, 12 hours that they're open, if that can be removed from 1st and Alberta and therefore the other roads that they have to travel, that benefits the health and safety of Palisade residents, the overall livability of our town, and that's one reason, it should be really the only thing you need to get this thing out of town and up by the highway. Second thing is the comprehensive plan. Comprehensive plan is still in effect. A couple of us worked very, very hard on that, spent a lot of money on it. It's a good plan. The plan in the design of the comprehensive plan clearly puts high-volume retail, car-related activities at Exit 42. We had it there forever. It's where it is. It's where the convenience store is because that's where we designed it. It's where it belongs. This shop belongs up there. I would hope that you don't get caught up, or the town doesn't get caught up in this new idea of east side versus west side of Alberta. That's not in the comprehensive plan. Exit 42, going both directions, is where the new commercial development should be. I hope you'll let them move forward and make our lives a little bit better on the corner of 1st and Alberta. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
I'm Tim Boyle. I live at 3845 North River Road with my wife. We've been there 21 years. And I think what I'm seeing here is a great presentation. I think it makes a lot of sense. The one thing I see that some people might have concerns with is the stigma of the green cross at our main intersection. Almost every exit, every little town you go through on I-70, or even other major highways in this state, you'll see a green cross, you'll see a dispensary. It's been 12 years since marijuana has been approved in this state, and I think that stigma's long gone at this point. Let's face it, you get up at exit 42, you're looking at a liquor store and a winery. It's the green cross is going to be pretty minimal exposure because they're not proposing to have a tall sign like the gas station has. But if the you know, if this is not allowed to move, again, it comes back down to Grand Junction getting approvals for marijuana, and it's going to be a major competition for the couple dispensaries we have here in town. And that affects the economy of the town a lot. We all know that a good percentage of the revenues in this town come from the marijuana business. So I think it's really critical for these guys to move to a more appropriate location. Living on North River Road, I have been biking, I ride my mountain bike up and down the road for 21 years now. I go out to the trails to the east. And I've noticed quite a few of the tags are from Utah. And I don't think those people are going to be coming out to East Palisade if they can get off out at the west end of Grand Junction and save themselves an extra half-hour of driving time. So that's a lot of lost business for both the dispensary and lost income for the town. Moreover, the Utah people, and you know, in their defense, they're velocitized. If you're going 80 miles an hour on I-70 for an hour to get here, it's really tough to slow down to 25 miles an hour. What I have noticed is that traffic eastbound tends to be a lot faster than westbound, and I think kudos to Dan. I think they've put these 30-mile-an-hour signs in front of their dispensary, and I've noticed that when people turn around and go west, they tend to go a lot slower than they are coming into town. And that makes a huge difference. But in 21 years of riding my bike up and down that road, you know, of course, 21 years ago, it was pretty quiet. But it's something I definitely think about now every time I'm on the bike, because you just don't know what's coming up behind you and what kind of risks you might be taking just in that 5 minutes that I take to ride out to one of the trailheads. So I think everything that I'm seeing here just makes total sense. And like I say, other than the possible stigma of the green cross at the exit, I can't see any reason why there would be, you know, any conflict with approving this relocation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Boyle. I recognize your name as one of the 15 people represented in a letter that was sent to us. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening again. My name's still Bonnie Davis, and I'm the executive director at the Chamber, and if you'll allow me, I would just like to read our letter of support. Thank you for considering the support of Palisade Chamber of Commerce regarding the relocation of Happy Camper Cannabis. Our goal as the community's business advocate is to improve the quality of life through strong and sustainable economic development. We believe this project fully meets our goal and the criteria for which your committee is considering, especially in terms of economic development, sustainability, connectivity, access, and safety. Happy Camper has been positively benefiting the town of Palisade through economic growth since joining our community in 2019. This company has been a great addition to our business community by their involvement and support of numerous community-based events and projects. In working with Happy Camper, the Palisade Chamber of Commerce plans to place a Palisade Tourism Information Kiosk at the proposed property location. This kiosk, as mentioned earlier, will drive additional visitors to support our local business economy, create more connectivity, and invite additional access to our town. The consistent and positive growth of this company has proven their sustainability since they opened. This new location will provide a safer venue for customers, employees, and neighbors of the company due to increased parking availability and access. This move also aids in the safety and preservation of the Fruit and Wine Byway. With the recent opening of Palisade Plunge and the increase of cyclists and motorists along North River Road, this move also supports less traffic congestion, which will lead to a safer experience. We strongly encourage the Planning Commission to approve the relocation of Happy Camper. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. Do I have anyone else really wanting to come up and speak? Yes, sir, please.
Good evening, I'm Dave Voorhees. I live at 3758 G and 710th Road, just on to the east of this parcel. And I'm full in favor of the moving up there. It's well within the area proposed, and my only concern is if there's some way that they can mitigate traffic from proceeding on east on Wine Valley Road, it would greatly help out. A lot of people get on their phones and start looking at Google Maps, and they see that Wine Valley Road is supposed to go through, but it doesn't. And they get down there in the orchard, and then especially if it's wet, that's only a dirt road going on east from there. And they make a mess down in there trying to get turned around and whatnot. And that's my only concern as a resident that lives on down at the end there, is coming up with some way to stop traffic, prevent traffic from going on east beyond where the store is now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Voorhees. Hi there.
Good evening. I'm Lisa Marie Pinder. I live at 509 Milliman Street. My mom has been there for 30 years, had one of the developments that came in 30 years ago. All I have to say is that I am totally supportive of them moving up there to Happy Camper, but as our gentleman from the Wine Inn said, something needs to be done about Alberta. People fly through there all the time. They don't know where they're going because they are tourists, so they're turning and they're just going in wherever. I walk my dog, I walk to my mailbox, my mom is elderly, doesn't look like I ran over a bunch of times for it. So I'm totally supportive of them moving up there, but overall, I'd like the city to kick it into high gear about doing something about structuring that better. With everything from crossing over the canal to having some bike lanes or some signage or some fencing or something to help divert it, and more signage that says what the speed limit is. So when you first come off of exit 42, people haul until they see that flashing light way down at the bottom where First is. They're flying down there, and people are turning out with large trucks, and they're not paying attention. So I'm totally in favor of the move, but I'd like something done about Alberta. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our town administrator is present and listening. Thank you.
Making notes.
All right. Are the rest of you here primarily
In favor.
in favor of this and would reiterate the same information that we're hearing? I never want to offend anyone who wants to speak or restrict you in any way, but if all of you are basically in support of this idea, how would you feel about just holding up your hand, signaling your affirmation of this project, and perhaps save us all some time reiterating what we've heard? I see only, there we go. There we go. I don't know if that's permissible or not, but
That one.
I have the microphone. With that in mind, is there anyone else present who would like to make additional public comment?
We can change the exit to 420.
Okay.
What'd she say? I couldn't hear it. What'd she say?
It was good.
Must have been.
All right then. So if you are all in agreement with this saving of a little time, let's open it up to commission discussion.
I have one question, Colleen. Or Joe, either person answers it.
I'm so sorry.
Do they still have the rule, the law that you have to do something about the windows, but they can't break into them?
Well, we have to keep our windows, if you notice, our windows have to have like shading so that you can't see in. So during the day, we have those, what was that called again?
I saw that.
Perforated vinyl,
Right.
and then we pull shades down on the inside at night when our lights are on, so you can't see in. Now, I don't know that we have to have any
But
special.
there's no rule that says that it has to be non-breakable. Okay.
There's dozens of cameras.
Oh. Yes.
Do what?
There's dozens of cameras.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the cameras are mandatory, is that not
Right, yes, I
correct?
know that, yeah.
Yeah, we all have them on our phones too, so.
Yeah.
always know.
Right. Commissioners?
Should we discuss the conditions?
We probably should discuss the conditions.
I would ask Brian to, there's an awful lot of conditions in this conditional use. Aren't most of them already covered by the rules and the codes and requirements anyhow?
Yes, Commissioner Harbaugh, the majority of these are reiterations of things that are in the code. It's just good to attach them to the conditional use so that everyone's clear as to what the expectations are. If you'd like, Mr. Chairman, I can give the ones that are, in my opinion, specific to this particular site plan and this particular request and its context, separate and distinct from the standards such as, completing the site plan, completing the traffic study, et cetera.
These are things that might be unique to this request?
Correct. So number 4, no pole sign shall be permitted that will be visible from either direction on I-70. Other signs, including wall and/or monument signs, shall meet the requirements of the Land Development Code and Municipal Code. If you recall, when Subway came through, they did not propose any pole signage either. They were going to utilize monument signs. You can see on the visuals here, they're proposing to utilize the upper portion of the building for a wall sign. In addition, it's to be noted, and this is they're already in compliance with this at their current location, but the term cannabis cannot be used on the exterior signage per section 6-129A of the municipal code.
But that's already covered then in the code.
Yes, it is already covered in the code, and their existing location has different wording to not include cannabis.
They can't have any green crosses either, can they? Don't say that. That's tacky. I'm not kidding.
Number 10, landscaping design, that's required already in our code. However, we want to emphasize, given the drought this summer, that we want to steer them into a xeric/water-wise landscaping principle. So to the extent that that can be, we'll get to the final details on that. That's an additional condition. The access permit I mentioned. So I believe that is, number 12 and 13. So 12 relates to the minor subdivision. The minor subdivision that's associated with this project shall receive final approval by the development director and shall be recorded prior to receiving a certificate of occupancy for the building. And then number 13, the design of public infrastructure on non-vial roads shall be approved by the town engineer and the infrastructure completed prior to the issuance of the certificate of occupancy. That's kind of the drop dead date, obviously, before the store opens. If the store is approved, the road would have to be completed. There is an opportunity to enter into agreements to ensure that that's completed, but those agreements do not obligate the town for any expenses. It's really about administering getting the project done as either a standalone project separate and distinct from this one, as the applicant mentioned, hiring an engineer to do just that particular project, and or coordinating that with the adjacent properties. And our use of an improvements agreement is simply so that we have leverage to cash in bonds or other things if they were unable to complete those improvements, so that the town would not be on the hook for anything.
Thank you, Brian.
I have one other question, Holly, and I don't know if you've even got this far. In your renderings, you're going to have your Happy Camper sign up on what looks like a fireplace, but I'm sure it's, well, maybe it is a fireplace. Is it going to be lit? You going to have lights on it?
Lights on, it's going to be.
On your sign?
It's right down here, Carl.
Right down here. It's
Yeah, on that.
just like what we have today.
Floodlights?
We have lights outside come up on it, yes.
It's not backlit.
They're going to come towards it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like
floodlights shining up on it?
Like we do now. So it's going to be set up
Okay.
exactly like ours now is. No difference, and then we'll have the one just right by the road like we do now. That's it.
Okay. Just curious.
I made note of the fact today that of letters received by the Planning Commission from individuals in the community, in addition to people who are speaking here tonight or are here in support of this. There are a total of 30 individuals represented within those letters. That's a pretty strong statement, I think, to be made in support of this. The other thing that came to me is, we have a quantity here that we're very familiar with. We know how they do business. We know the good neighbor aspect of how they conduct their business. And that's all I've got to say.
Can I make a motion?
Penny, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I would.
All right.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve project 2021-13 and send it to the board with our comments and recommendation.
Second.
Kelly, would you call the roll?
Hold on a second, I have a question.
Go right ahead, Stan.
Does that include the 13 conditional uses?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Commissioner Pritzker?
Yes.
Commissioner Wheeler?
Yes.
Commissioner Hull?
Yes.
Commissioner Curry?
Yes.
Commissioner Hamilton?
Yes.
Vice Chair Harbaugh?
Yes.
Chair Parker?
Yes.
Chair, that motion carries.
Thank you. Do we have anything else?
Is it unfinished?
Any unfinished business? I'm not aware of any.
Janet's
New business?
Janet's been awful quiet.
Awfully quiet there.
Yes, thank you for our cups.
Yeah, thank you for our mugs.
Or whatever these are called.
All right, ladies and gentlemen,
Do we have a motion?
we have a motion. Thank you.
Third and fourth and
All
fifth.
in support of that motion? Aye. Thank you. Well,
Everything go high?
Everyone seems happy.